Hi guys, I'm Ashif Ali and watching this job video. Today we will make this Tunis explosion and from scratch, step by step, everything, texture, mesh, material, Niagara, everything I will do in this video step by step from scratch. So let's start this tutorial and please subscribe my YouTube channel first, and if you like this, like, share and comment. So let's start this. So I have this completely empty project. I don't have any content and this is Unreal 5.5. So I'll just quickly make a new label. I'll just choose this one, make the floor bigger, maybe just 100. I don't want this player, delete this, make the light little down so it will be little darker scene. And in the exponent height fog, I'll just make the atmosphere black and this fog maybe just dark gray. Okay, and you can also increase the fog density if you want, and you can also decrease this. So basically this is your scene, and I'll just hit save and I'll just save it. Man, cool. And then I need a mesh and I'll go to Maya. You can choose any 3D software you have. So basically I'll just take this sphere or maybe just this platonic solid. Yeah, this one is cool. And I'll increase the subdivision maybe this much, and instead of quad I'll take the triangles, and you can make it high poly if you want, but I'll just keep it like this. And then you can use the vertex and with soft selection you can just move these like this, or you can use the sculpting tool like this one and just decrease the sphere, and you can make this, but this is too much, so I'll just increase this, decrease the strength, and like this. So I'm just making it random. Cool. And you can make a different type of shapes and you can use multiple shapes, but I'll just use fun. So this is just to show you how to make. Okay. And UVs, you have to check the UVs. It will work fine. So I'll just select all and normalize it so it will fit. And you can also, if you want, just move these like this. So border is just filling this hole. Not required much, you can use it as it is, but just I like it this way. And I'll normalize it again, and that's it. So I'll just export it, and let's on the desktop, I'll call it SM. Uh, SM. You can call it smoke puff or blob. It's like a blob. So I'll just call it blob. Okay. On desktop, I'll save it. And let's make one texture in the Photoshop. So I'll use 1K canvas, and here press D to make it black and white. Then I'll take the noise from here. So I'll just use this crowd. Control S to hide these lines, and then I'll go here and make this little blur, maybe this much. Then I'll go to filter, go to minimum, and I'll use a round instead of a square and increase this to make it kind of a stylized texture. Oh, it's taking time. Let me just, okay. Oh, it's too much. Actually, it was not loading. So I'll just use maybe, yeah, this much. Yeah, I'll just use this much. And then I'll go to filter again and use this minimum. Oh, not minimum, sorry. Offset. And I'll use the horizontal vertical offset. So I have this seam. So I will make it tileable. So I'll just use this Smudge Tool and zoom and just blend these how much you can blend. Just I'm just doing it roughly, so take your time, make it proper. Okay, so and see how I'm blending. I'm just maintaining these shapes also, so you don't mess the texture pattern. And then can make this bigger. And I'll just offset it again and little bit here and then offset again. Everything's fine. I'll just save it on the desktop. Let's go with T noise stylized. Stylized. Okay, save it. And then in here, I will import that from my desktop. I want this. And where is my blob? This one. So it's my blob and it has these UVs. So this comes with a material. I don't need that. Or you can just rename that. So I'll just call it smoke. And I'll use that blob to preview here. Okay. And I'll use that texture also. And let me just save all. So basically, I'll use geospacular and one roughness. And then you can just multiply this with a particle color. Although if you multiply it with like a brownish color, you can see how it will look. This is how it will look. It's too black. Let me make it 2 maybe 5. Yeah. So this is how it will look and it looks fine. I don't have any issue with it. Then we can erode it. So basically this color, I will just use particle color so I can randomize it. Cool. And then I'll also, you can use just a channel. I'll use the step node or maybe I'll just use a smooth step so I can just fade. I'll just use this here and just connect into the opacity and I'll use translucent. Okay. And two-sided. And I'll use the dynamic parameter and this will be my minimum and this will be my maximum, but you can use this, but I will add both together. So maximum will be higher always. Okay, so this is minimum and this is maximum. So maximum, if the maximum is 0, let's say both are 0. So this is how it looks. Let me show you on the planar. This is how it looks. And when you increase the minimum, it will erode it like this. So this sharpness is the maximum value. So if I increase the maximum value, it will fade those edges. Cool. Fade those. So I'll just make it 0.1 or maybe 0.05 just to make it very subtle. So you can see these are now faded. So this is what I will do. So this is it in here for now. So let me save it. And when it's saving, you can just subscribe my channel, hit like. That really means a lot for me. So that's how channel grows. and I think my channel deserves to be grow after a long time and making so many videos. So okay, so explosion. Okay, so what I'll do, and this is smoke, so I just want to, I also want to add temperature in it. So for the temperature, what you can do actually, I'll just take the temperature just for now, the sorry, the black body, and you can use the noise textures also. So I'll just multiply this noise texture, and that will go here. It will be my temperature, and then it will go here. So basically, if I increase that, first let me rename it temp. And if I increase it around maybe like 4000, you will see the difference. So now it's turning hot. Cool. And yeah. And let's use that noise texture after erosion. So I will just use this here. Okay. Because I'm eroding it also. So I'm using it after it. So let's save it now. Did you subscribe? I'm asking you again and again because I really want. Okay, so basically, I don't have any particles. I'll just delete it again and taking this again. And now I have particles. So basically, I need a burst. So for that, this should be just once. And this, instead of this, we should have a burst, maybe like 20 particles like this. And I really don't need gravity for now. So I'll just disable it. So I have these particles and I'll decrease the velocity maybe 100 and 200. So I will decide it later how much I want it. So first add that mesh here. So I'll delete this and take a mesh renderer and select it here. And see, that's very tiny. So I don't want sprite or mass. I'll just use the random uniform and maybe 10 and 5 or maybe 10, 15. Cool. And when they are going up, they should also scale. So I'll take the scale mesh and make it float. And then take the curve. And it should be like 1.5 at the end, like this. Cool. So now I will use that material here and override and use it here. Take the dynamic parameter. I don't want to dissolve it. So these are 0, 0 and temperature should be like 2000 for now, or maybe 4000. It's very hot. And then it will decrease. So I will just make a curve and maybe at point 2 it will be 0 and in starting it is like 3000. Okay, so it's hot and it's dissipating, but I can increase the time. Looks cool. And then I will change the color here, brownish. Little more saturate. And then we can randomize the values. So I don't want hue. I just want value. So 1 and 5. So, or maybe 2. And I will not use two-sided actually. I don't need that. So let it save. Cool. So some parameters I want to add first, the initial rotation. So all the shapes should be rotated randomly. And then the second thing is update. So it should also keep rotating little bit. So maybe it's minus 1, minus 1, all direction. And then I will randomize this thing, the rate, maybe just zero point 0.2 minus zero point 0.2, little bit. And then with the help of dynamic parameter, I can erode it. So let me see the last value I need. So at the 0.46, it's completely eroded. So I will just make a curve and it's 0 at 0 and then it's 0.5 and then we can just shift it maybe zero point 0.3. So initially they should not erode, and also this should be smooth like this. Cool. Looks cool. And just the very slow, so I'll just make the live. Cool. And I think we can shift it little more, maybe at 0.4, 5. Yeah, cool. A little more randomness, maybe 0.7 here. Cool. You can make it a little more hot here if you want, like 5,000. It's too much. 3,000 is fine, or maybe 4,000. 332. Then I'll duplicate this and just change the velocity to make it like a shock wave, a ring actually. So in the in the shape, I'll use the torus and make the radius very low. Then in the velocity, I'll use the point velocity and yeah, and I'll keep randomness very low. So it should be visible. So now 150, 140. Yeah, cool. And I'll change the size of this one, maybe 0.8. And we can increase this, maybe 40. And I guess we can use more randomness in the velocity. So yeah. And also more randomness here. So that should be touch the ground always. And the size should increase a little bit more of these one. Or maybe 3 at the end. Or maybe 2 is enough. So let me make these local and check in the viewport how this looks. And if you want to play it again, just type it force here and why it's not showing. I don't know why it's not showing, but okay, you can just reset it from here. You can also turn on the shadow. Okay, it works because doesn't have any direct light that making the shadow. So the base body is there. We just want to add some flash and everything in this one, or maybe a hit mark on the ground, and it will be ready. So basically, now we need a flash. So to make a flash, quick way will be I'll just make a material and flash. You can make a texture for sure, but quick way is just take your noise texture, take the vector to radial, use this here. I'll make this additive unlit, and if I preview this, start previewing the node. This is how it looks. So I will just, and this seam, if you want to remove that, just use this. And I want little tiling. So 2 vectors. So I want to stretch it on Y, and X is maybe 2 or maybe 3. And you can decrease the stretchiness little bit if you want. And then you can just take a radial, make the density maybe 1 and multiply these together. And I guess you have a cool flash that you can use, but you can stretch it a little bit more. Or maybe if you really want like a flash, because this radial is not cool gradient, see, it's not cool gradient. So to make cool gradient, texture coordinate and multiply 2 and subtract 1. And why? Because it starts from here, and when you multiply by 2 and subtract 1, so it will be here in the center. Then you can take the length of this and you have a cool gradient. Then you can invert this and take a power like this, and instead of this you can take the divide and make the very low value. So it will be very cool gradient you have. Now if you multiply this with your noise, it will give you that cool thing, and you can increase it maybe 0.02. Okay, and I guess we can, looks cool. So this is flash. Okay, you can use this, or maybe a little bit you can add details like I will just go with the 0. Okay, I really like it. Then to save your edges, you can use the radial now, because that radial is just radial and saving the border. So I'll just use this now here. So border will be safe always. And now I'll just use the particle color. And one more thing you can do here, just to randomize it, I'll use a panel and just add something here. So it will be, and maybe here, see? And we can randomize it in per particle. So I'll just connect this here and connect this in the opacity. And to randomize this, I'll take the time, multiply, dynamic parameter, and just connect this here. So this is our pan. I'll just save it. So I guess I paused the video, so I will do it again. So basically, we had these things. Okay. We had these previously. And what I did, I just also used the power here. I accidentally paused the video and using a dynamic parameter. So now in here, I'll copy this, paste, and delete this. I don't need that. And sprite, I'll use that material. And in the dynamic parameter, I will just reset these values. I don't need drag or these things. No velocity. Maybe just the 5 particles, and size. Color should be like hot. And size random, maybe 180. And this looks round. So with the power, you can increase and make it like a flash. And the pan should be random, maybe 1 and -1. And these, I don't need the sphere location, so it's just on a place. And I'll take the size, and it will just scale up and make that maybe 2. So it will just scale up and finish. Let me compare it with the explosion. So it's very small. So maybe I'll make it 10. And these two elements should have a delay like 0.1. But there should be just the flash first. And the life of the flash maybe just 0.2, 0.1. So, and this is cutting through the ground. So I will not use that fade for now. I'll just do one thing. That is, I'll just copy that flash, paste, and in this one, if you'll see, I will just face that on the ground. So I'll use the custom alignment, custom facing vector, and I'll use here align to mesh orientation. Instead of X, use Z, and it's now on the ground. So if I reset, I guess we need to just make it little up. Yeah, now you can see on the ground, but these are very big actually. So the size I will use maybe 6 and 6, and color maybe 2. And I guess the delay is too high, maybe 0.05, 0.05. And for the shock wave, I'll use the velocity maybe 300 and 100. 150 was okay. And with that flash, there should be a reflection, sorry, a distortion. Although you need a texture, noise, sorry, normal texture, but let's make it just a basic. And I need also a sphere. So what I'll do, we can use the same sphere if you want, same blob actually, but I'll just use a sphere and export that as an sphere. FBX on desktop, import. Okay. Okay, so I'll use this sphere. So basically in here, I'll duplicate this one more time. So these are my flash. These are fire smoke. So will not be confused. I will copy this, paste, and this will be our distortion. And what I'll do in this one, let's use that sphere, and I'll delete the material for now. I don't have this, and I'll just use this simple curve. I just need one particle and no delay, no rotation, and we'll just scale up and no random life, maybe just 0.3. So, and the size of the mesh would also be like same. So if you'll notice, first sphere is coming with the flash. Sphere is coming with the flash. So in the sphere, we can add our distortion. So I'll just make it quickly. So I'll just make it material M distortion. I'll just make it translucent. I'll find here refraction, use the index of refraction, take the Fresnel, make a loop, connect, make the opacity 0, make a dynamic parameter. So basically these both are 1 and there is no refraction. If I increase the B, maybe 2, there is reflection, you can see. So 1 means no reflection. More than 1 means there is reflection, maybe 2 or 3 or 1.5, there will be shutter. Okay, so I'll just connect this here. I'll rename this, save it, hit subscribe when it's saving, and I'll use that material here. Take the dynamic parameter and of course a curve that will go from 2 to 1. So initial there will be reflection. And in the material, if you notice that fresnel, if I preview, this looks like this. If I make this 2, gradient will be better, or maybe 1. 2 is enough, so I'll use this value. Or you can make a dynamic parameter of it to check in the material, in the Niagara, how it's working. So always use, and we are missing a normal texture, but I'll just go with it. And with that, we can also add sparks. So basically, I'll duplicate this flash, and here sparks. Okay. And what I'll do for the sparks, delete that sprite render, take it again, so it will come with a radial material. I don't need alignment, and I'll use velocity aligned, and maybe 20 sparks, and we need velocity, point velocity, maybe 200, and this should be really hot, and life maybe 0.5, 0.2, and I'll also take the shape, and in the sphere, I'll use a hemisphere, and in the size, I'll just make the size maybe 2 and 1. And to stretch these, I'll take the speed by size by speed and make it like 20 or 50. Okay. So if I now play, we have these, and this should be about here, and the radius of this very small, and this should be really hot, maybe like 20, 20, 20. I'll make it velocity random, maybe 100 and 500. Yeah, looks cool. And this should be random, and also I'll take the size and decrease it over life after 0.5, and more random here. Yeah, so cool. We are just missing something on the ground, and you can make in Photoshop, but I'll again use that noise texture. So I'll just make M hit mark, and in here I'll use translucent to side it, unlit. You can use lit actually. And on a planar, I'll use this texture. I'll again go with the factor to radial, and this time again we need tiling to vector, and to fix that seam, if you have a level and tiling, I'll use 3 and 1, like the 5, and I'll take the radial, and you can just use the burn blend, color burn blend, and you will get something like this that you can use for your, and also if you multiply this, this is how it looks. You can also use this thing if you want. So basically, I'll decrease this value. Cool. So yeah, I'll just, if we add these together, let me check. Doing just experiment. Actually, we need to saturate it first. No. So I'll go with this for now. I'll go with this. And also what you can do is, if this looks really round, you can distort it. And how you'll distort it, I'll show you. So basically, you can use the same noise texture, and let me just decrease the radius first, maybe 0.3. And see, this value is decreasing the radius. So basically 0.5 is default. So if I take the lerp and use this noise texture and connect this here and use 0.5, so that will not change anything. But if I make this one 0, so it will change this and make it uneven. Cool. So basically what you can do, you can just take the normal texture and connect this here. Yeah, just make it like 4. So it's making it uneven. See? So this looks also cool if you want to use. Okay, so I'll just go with it and I'll take a power here, decrease it. I just need this and take the saturate and multiply it, the opacity. And for the color, I'll just multiply this, connect this here, and also this here. So this is what you have for now. Or maybe you can just use a simple texture if you want. So that will give you a different thing. Cool. I'll make one. So let's try it how it looks. So I'll just save it. And I'll use this emitter because this flash is already facing the ground. So I'll just copy and change the material and let it compile. So you can see something on ground, and I'll actually make this make it quickly turn black. So I'll just make this curve, and after 0.2 is 0. So basically it's hot initially and then it's turned black. Maybe we can use 0.4. Let's try how it looks, and I'll change the life maybe 0.6 and 0.5. Let's see. And one more thing, this should stop after scaling, so it will scale quickly and life should be there. So I'll make the life 1.2 and 1. And I'll make that hotness of color fade quickly. Like this. And there should be little delay in it, 0.05. And it should scale really fast. And I think that flashes are very small now, so I'll make it maybe 8 and 8. Yeah. And one more thing, I'm noticing this one is not hot enough initially. I mean, it's turning black quickly, so I'll make it like at 0.8. So it will take time to turn black. Yeah. And now comes to shorting. This should be shorting 1, and this also 1. This should be above the decal. Actually, it's taking too long now. So I'll just make the curve little down. And those hit marks should also dissolve. So for dissolve, what I can do, I can just take the power, connect this here, and I don't have a dynamic parameter here. So I'll just take this, and then at the very end, I'll just multiply it with the opacity. And this is just erode. You can erode it anywhere. You can erode it here. You can erode anywhere. Okay. Just connect that in the opacity. And you can use any texture how you want to erode things. So I'm just using this texture again with no tiling and with no vector to radial. And here now this erode thing will have a curve, and it should go from 0 to maybe 5. Let me check how it will go. Okay. So it's eroding, but it's eroding quickly. So I'll make this after 5. One more thing I'll do in here in this hit mark. Actually, you can use this because it has 4x4 tiling. So I'll just use this here and not this one. Yeah, this one is fine. And it still is going before the explosion. So let's make the life maybe 1.6 and 1.4. Yeah. Should little linger little more. Yeah. One more thing I would like to do is I'll just copy that flash, paste it here. And in this one, I just want to like increase the alpha and use the power. Yeah, I just want to make just the rays like this and then make the size a little big. And for this, I'll decrease the life even shorter. So there will be rays, and that looks cool. You can also add camera shake and that will look cool. You can add also trails if you want. So I guess if you want to add. So basically, these were the sparks. I'll just copy these and I'll just call this source and just change the life maybe 1 and 0.5 and turn on the gravity. Let me check, and yeah, cool. And what I'll do, make the velocity a little high, maybe 800 and 300, and this thing maybe just 5. I don't want that much. Yeah. And also decrease the spawn rate, maybe just a 10. And then after this, I'll take one more emitter and I'll take the fountain again. And in this one, in the source, let's take the generate location event and also turn on this persistent ID. And let me save. And in this fountain, I'll delete all these things and I'll use the stage event handler and location and then receive location and spawn rate is 1 and see now we have the trails, but instead of sprite I'll just go with the ribbon and now we have those ribbons and also I'll just make it once. We have those cool ribbons and I'll take the color here. Oh, not this one, color, and just take the curve. Initially they should be hot, of course, maybe 5, and then they become like gray. Yeah, cool. And yeah, that's it. And in the velocity, in this one, make it till go down, so these will go up more, not that much. Yeah, it depends how you want it. And these trails, I think the material of default ribbon is additive, so you cannot make it black. So what I'll do, I'll just copy these nodes, or you can just save as. Staying time. So you can just save as here, call it ribbon. So now this material is saved as ribbon, and now you can make it translucent and just save it again. This is a new project. I don't know why it's taking time. And I'll now browse this and use that here ribbon, and now we can make it darker. So yeah, now you can see those turning black, but we need to increase the alpha, maybe even more, 50. I'll make it 50. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. And velocity maybe just 600, 200. Yeah, and also last thing, this one. I don't want that much. Yeah, let's. So this is like Toon is explosion, very simple, and yeah. One thing I'm not seeing here, those sparks should have more life or velocity, maybe 800, and life maybe 0.4, 0.2. Those should be visible. Yeah. And the size of these sparks, more random. Yeah, so that's it. I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. Bye bye.